What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another video slash podcast of the Dynasty Dweebs. Today, Jim and I are going to be bringing you a buy or sell video. What is up, Jim?
Oh, nothing much. Having a wonderful day. Ready to talk some buy or sell dynasty / redraft.
Yeah, on the spot right there. We're covering both, not just Dynasty. We
like to give you everything, you know.
We give all kinds of content everywhere. Hopefully this video actually saves. All right, we're getting right into this. No dilly-dallying. Yep. Mike Williams was wide receiver number 40 this year. I'm going to read off his stats real quick. I hope you all are enjoying our visual aid. This is our first time having one. It's beautiful, I think. It's electric. Electrifying, actually.
Like the Chargers electric.
You better stop. Mike Williams, wide receiver 40 in 2019. All right, 2018 stats. 66 targets, 43 receptions, 664 yards, 11 touchdowns. One was a rushing touchdown. And he had 184.7 fantasy points. These are all PPR stats, by the way. 2019, 90 targets, 49 receptions, 1,001 yards, and 2 touchdowns, but only 165 fantasy points. What are your thoughts?
Where are you getting I just wanted to know for your fantasy point totals, where are you getting them from?
Sleeper. I used Sleeper for this. Okay,
because on my Sleeper, like I'm looking at Sleeper's website for that, and I see 158 in 2018, 136.8 in 2019. I don't know if that's standard or not with PPR. I don't know.
Now I have to check right now.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that, but I wanted to give everybody the.
Maybe it's my dyslexia. Hold on.
I don't know how the fuck it messed up that bad, but it's fine. On the clock. It's whatever. The rest of the stats are completely correct, though, so that's not really a huge deal.
Okay, it's 4 points off. He still had 180 points PPR in 2018.
Where are you seeing? Okay, that's fine. I believe you. It's just this might be his standard. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he had 137 in standard.
In 2019?
2018.
Okay. I don't know what.
Why is your Sleeper off?
I mean, my Sleeper's Sleeper, so.
All right, let's get back into it. Anyways, it's roughly the right amount.
It's whatever.
Dude, the points changed. There's no way I accidentally wrote 165.
It's fine. We'll keep it going. So, Mike Williams in 2019 obviously had a. It's really weird because there's a lot of positives to Mike Williams, but the huge negative was the touchdown regression. I mean, he went up 24 targets. However, in 24 targets, he only caught 6 more passes. So
the fucking problem is he scored 9 less touchdowns this year.
Yeah, well, I think there's a story to be told with him getting 24 more targets and only catching 6 of them. That's 25%.
It just sucks that he got 400 more yards.
Yeah,
but then he still finished wide receiver 40 with 9 less touchdowns.
Yeah. So he broke the 1,000-yard threshold by 1, and he just didn't have touchdowns. He had 2 back-to-back weeks with touchdowns, but those are the only times he scored all year.
I'm really pissed off that the points aren't matching up.
It's fine. Jesus. So what do we expect out of Mike Williams in this coming year and the years to come? He got his 5th-year extension 2 months ago. So
nothing. I'm not expecting shit, especially with Tyrod Taylor servicing this
Tyrod Taylor / Justin Herbert. Yeah.
Whatever. I have more hopes for Tyrod Taylor than Herbert, so.
I think their future is Herbert at this point. So yeah, I don't imagine. I think I don't know how. The last time Tyrod started was when he was on the Browns with Baker as a rookie, and then he got pushed to the wayside. But that was because he was not playing particularly well. So maybe the same thing will happen for Justin Herbert. Whether he's ready to play or not, who knows? Mike Williams, though, buy or sell?
Sell.
Thing is, what are you selling him for? Like, what are you getting out of him? Let's say you're going for stacking draft picks for the oncoming years. What is somebody giving up draft pick wise to acquire Mike Williams? It's
second?
at best a second. I think realistically you're looking probably closer to a third. I mean, I understand the second, but it would have to be like a low end second. I mean, end of the second round, in my opinion. So like for me to consider giving it up.
You can buy him for cheap. I'm not selling. I'd buy.
Well, you just change your mind.
Yeah, I changed my mind. I'd buy. Sorry, I'd buy.
I don't know.
The 2 touchdowns is really disturbing, but I'd buy. I like the targets and the 1,001 yards. He's a deep threat. But the problem is, like, Hunter Henry is staying healthy. Like, he probably will this year, hopefully. And then Keenan Allen still eats up the volume.
Yeah.
And then
Keenan Allen's going to – I think this year we're going to see a lot of the same from the Chargers with Eckler and Keenan Allen. And depending on what Hunter Henry does, I don't really see another option on this team really emerging. Mike Williams could end up being a flex guy depending on if he gets the touchdowns. Like, even if he goes up and gets 5 touchdowns from 3, that helps significantly.
All right, I have my decision. I'm buying in Dynasty, and I will not buy. I am not drafting him in redraft because I think there's a lot better players around this dude's ADP that you can get.
He's at best a flex. I mean,
yeah, I don't.
There's too many other mouths to feed on this team, especially with Eckler eating up a lot of passing yards, passing attempts for sure.
I think I'd rather have Jamison Crowder than Mike Williams in redraft this year.
I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
And if you think that's a hot take, you're an idiot. David Montgomery, RB24 this year. 2019, obviously he was a rookie last year, so he has 1 year of stats. 242 attempts, 889 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns, 35 targets, 25 receptions, 185 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. 7 total touchdowns for the boy. I'm a fan. I know there's a lot of haters out there. I don't know if you actually hate David Montgomery or you just hate Matt Nagy. You decide. Either way, it's having a tilt towards your feelings about him. I love him as an RB2. I think you're getting very great value with him as an RB2.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's even more possible that you get him as a flex, and then it's even better because you have a guy who has the upside to be – because he can get the volume. If he ends up getting his averages up, excuse me, I'm sure he will. I think he could be a sneaky high-end RB2 to a low-end RB1 possibly. I don't know if we'll see it this year. It might be later down the line because he's a guy who gets workhorse, cowbell type numbers of attempts. But I know there was a lot of hype surrounding David Montgomery when he was drafted by the Bears last season previously. And that happened. I happened to read all these posts about how the Bears were in love with him. And in redraft, I ended up drafting him in the 4th round of a draft and just getting completely bit in the ass by it. So
so the volume thing has been like a kind of not people. It's been swaying people away too because like they're saying like, why would I bother with a guy that isn't that efficient off high volume? I'd rather just have the guy that is really efficient off low volume. I guess you have to decide what kind of person you are. Like I'm more of the kind of guy that I like the high volume. I like knowing that my guy's going to be in for like a high percentage of the game.
If he's getting like almost 20 attempts a game, it's worth it in my opinion. He's probably like closer to
most people's opinions
16
it is.
Or something.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's what's swaying some people away, like his lack of efficiency.
I'm
buying though. 100%.
Are you? Yeah, 100%. I'm buying David Montgomery. I think depending on the owner and how. I think the owners of him though are not stupid and it won't sell him cheap still. Like you'd have to see another poor year out of him before he's being sold for a low price.
I can tell you what you can do though right now. Like you can just draft a rookie running back like out of this year's class,
and
then work it out with the David Montgomery guy somehow. That's what I would do.
Oh yeah, I just think more than likely he's going to have a better second year. Like,
yeah,
why would he have such a shitty year again and average 3.67 yards a carry?
Yeah,
like,
and I think he's going to get like the 6 rushing touchdowns. That's not his fault. That's the Bears' offense sucking, like knocking to the goal line.
And who knows what this offense is going to bring us? Whether they start Foles or Trubisky, who knows?
I hope it's Nick Foles for the sake of the team.
I don't think either option's necessarily that great, but Nick Foles is the better of the two.
I'm not a fan of Trubisky right now.
I don't think anyone is.
Mitch Titties, bro. Not a fan. All right, so Dynasty, I'm buying. Jim is buying too. Redraft, I think as long as he's a good spot, I think he's a good player to have on your team as an RB2, 100%.
I think he could end up being a really good flex player for you. I don't think
because you don't really have to. What about the RB?
I'm saying you can draft him as your flex.
That's a late round.
Not necessarily, depending if you're going like RB heavy all the time. You can get him as like your third or fourth running back.
Yeah, I guess. I'm pretty high on him. I think that you're going to have to pay fourth round price. Not third, but fourth round price, right? I don't have their ADPs pulled up. Because honestly, ADP is kind of stupid because it's different for every single league. So.
I just want to see
what's the latest round? What's the earliest round you would draft him is what I'll ask you. The 4th?
Yeah, that's probably about where he goes. I will say in our league that we just drafted him, he was drafted 4-2. 4th round, second pick.
So that's a dynasty league. So I would say the latest he would go was a 5th or a 6th then in a redraft.
Yeah.
All right, ready to move on?
Yep. I mean, if he's going in the 5th or 6th, he could be a third running back for him.
All right. So far, we're ish on Mike Williams and high on David Montgomery. Here we go. Shit can. Juju wide receiver 65 this year. Let's look at these stats. 2018, 166 targets, 111 receptions, 1,426 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Let's give it a round of applause. Great year, Juju. 2018, amazing. 2019, 71 targets, 42 receptions, 552 yards, 3 touchdowns. I will also remind you he missed a couple games.
Missed 4 games.
Yes, sir. All right.
However, those 4 games do not equal 95 targets that he was behind the previous year.
Absolutely not.
And the 70-something receptions. 69 receptions, conveniently, he missed underneath.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems here, right? So,
obviously, the quarterback play, we're all aware of. Mason Rudolph, Duck Hodges did not exactly impress. It was the defense that kept this team in playoff contention the whole year, basically.
Trash.
So, Juju is a very interesting player, and he's very high on people's dynasty rankings, and
stop beating around the bush. Give it to me straight.
I think this year we're going to see the Juju of old. Now, obviously, the only difference is from 2018 is that he does not have Antonio Brown, so he is the number 1 option still.
I'm not buying it, dude.
But he does have Big Ben back, but however, the question for Dynasty is how long will Big Ben be there, and what is their next quarterback? Is it going to be a Mason Rudolph, Duck Hodges again, Paxton Lynch even? No. Or are they going to draft another quarterback to try and be the new franchise QB? Who knows?
All right. So my view on it is like, I'm not willing to take the risk on Juju. Number 1, don't know if he's going to be re-signed to the Steelers, first of all. currently they have Deontay Johnson, James Washington, and they drafted Claypool.
Jeez. Yep.
In addition to Eric Ebron also. I think there's too many moving pieces here. Also, like you said, regarding the quarterbacks, don't know who's next in line. Dynasty, not a buy for me. I think people are selling him still as a wide receiver 1. You're not buying him as a wide receiver 1. There's no way. You do not pay wide receiver 1 price for this dude. It's not worth it at all. Redraft, I think he could fall. So I would target him in redraft. I think he provides wide receiver 2 value. But
where are you seeing him though in a redraft? Are you seeing him in the third round?
I would take him top to the middle of the third. I think that's fair. That's fair price. I mean, because potentially you are getting a wide receiver 1. Like you said, we could see the return of 2018. Not maybe like the exact numbers, but maybe a lot closer, right?
Now, I don't want to buy Juju just because his price is already so astronomical.
Yeah. And it's just those 2018 stats, like they pad it way too much. They make him a wide receiver 1. That's how people see him.
I mean, even when he was a rookie, he still came in and had a great year, and he was number 23 in PPR.
Yeah.
But he is such a tough player to buy because if you're buying him, he's going to still be expensive because he's so young and has all this potential in the world. But on the other hand, you don't want to sell him because you think he can be this wide receiver 1 for your team. I think you'd have to hold on to him. I don't think it's...
We're putting the hold price on?
I think so. I think you have to wait and see what he does this year. And
the best advice I could give, though, is if this dude is playing so this is what you need to happen, right? The dude plays like shit in the first game, and Claypool and Deontay Johnson both have touchdowns. You go buy him. Something like that. That's what you need to happen, right? Because there's too many question marks. Like some people in your league are going to be like, oh, Big Ben's back this year. Juju's going to light it up. And then the people on the other end of the trade will be like, no way in hell. AB's not there anymore. AB made Juju in 2018. So we're going to wait and find out. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully we get to find out.
Yep.
But moving on, though.
Phillip Lindsay.
Hell yeah. A lot of hype around this guy. Phillip Lindsay, Sideshow Bob. Let's look at these stats. 2018, 192 attempts, 1,037 yards. Very efficient. 9 touchdowns, 47 targets, 35 receptions, 241 receiving yards. Unfortunately, only 1 receiving touchdown. I believe he was around the RB12 range that year.
He was 12 in standard, 13 PPR.
Beautiful. He was RB19 in 2019. 2019 stats, 224 attempts, 1,111 yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, 48 targets, 35 receptions, 196 receiving yards, and 0 receiving touchdowns. The receiving touchdowns number really does surprise me, though. But so what is your view on Phillip Lindsay with the addition of Melvin Gordon?
So he's obviously taking a backup role again. Now, in 2018, when he was a rookie, was there... I don't know this. I need to find this out. Did he end up starting at running back as a rookie? He did, right? Yeah, he did. He was the number 1 running back for them. And they had Royce Freeman, who was the secondary option. So here's what I can expect from Phillip Lindsay this year. He's going to be the backup, but he's still going to get a fairly decent amount of touches, and Royce Freeman's just going to kind of fall to the wayside, if I had to guess.
I'm not even worried about Royce Freeman, honestly.
So with Melvin Gordon there, obviously we saw that the Chargers used Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler both very efficiently for the most part.
Yep.
They both got a really fair amount of touches and kind of were able to stay relevant. So I can imagine that Phillip Lindsay is going to be looking at Melvin Gordon's stats from the 12 games he played. He had 162 attempts. Now, obviously, this is with the Chargers, so it could completely change here. in this new system with a bunch of new players and a bunch of new receivers that were drafted to the Denver Broncos and whatnot. I feel like Lindsay is still going to be relevant as a low end running back 2, RB2. I don't think we're going to see him near the top 15. I think he's going to be more towards where he was at 19 to 24-ish. Because I still think he'll have a decent amount of volume to where he's maybe closer to the 190 attempts he had his rookie year with the Broncos. I'm struggling to think who actually might get, because Melvin Gordon's not exactly a receiving back. He can catch the ball. I guess he's more of the receiving back than Phillip Lindsay is, though. So,
all right, I'll tell you how I see this panning out. So,
all right, you go ahead. I'm thinking a lot.
They got Melvin Gordon because they're not fully confident in Drew Lock. They want to have a high rushing attempt offense. 100%. Okay. They're not sold on Drew Lock. So I think Phillip Lindsay still gets efficient touches. I think that he's going to have – and he's still going to be involved with the receiving game a lot. I think that we can expect 40 to 50 – between 35 to 40 targets, again, maybe a little higher, 35 to 45 targets. I think he's going to play that third down role. They're not just going to fade this guy. He's playing great.
Yeah.
He's been 100%. Very efficient. 2,000-yard seasons and not like an insane amount of attempts, and he gets the touchdowns. He's efficient on his receptions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that efficient, but I mean, he does.
I mean,
work.
He did pretty well. I mean,
yeah,
he did have a drop off from his rookie year, but I mean, he had 5.4 yards per carry in 2018, and he still had a respectable 4.5 in 2019. But that is a whole yard.
I don't see this as much as like the standard committee backfield. I see it as that premium throwback Devonta Freeman, Tevin Coleman 1-2 punch kind of deal. I think they both have a lot of value. I think I would rather pay the so let's talk redraft real quick, just while I'm on the topic. I would rather pay the less price for Phillip Lindsay than reaching and having to pay the higher premium for Melvin Gordon. I think you're going to get more value for Phillip Lindsay at his draft position than where you have to take Melvin Gordon.
So the Melvin Gordon deal was also a 2-year contract.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't. I don't see Melvin Gordon being re-signed after that, because then he's 29.
Oh, I think it's over after that. Yeah, I would assume they would hopefully work out a deal with Phillip Lindsay.
Yeah, because he's 2 years younger, but
yeah. I don't know. Dynasty, I'm not selling. This is a hold for me. You got to wait and see how this pans out. But I'd be willing to buy if someone was worried about if someone in your league has Phillip Lindsay, or maybe you want to give Phillip Lindsay to the guy that has Melvin Gordon. Maybe he's willing to pay some sort of price. I wouldn't be willing to. I probably wouldn't want both backs, honestly. I don't know if it's worth to you because you're at the pay, but I'm a fan of Phillip Lindsay. I think he could definitely finish as an RB2 still.
Yeah, I think I would want to buy Lindsay because I think he still had. I'm actually almost debating that Lindsay might actually finish higher in fantasy this year than Melvin Gordon.
He 100% could. It's just he's more dynamic. He's more electric than Melvin Gordon, especially at this point in time in their careers.
I think what's going to determine who finishes higher is who has the touchdowns.
No, I mean, that's perfectly fair. I mean, they're definitely not going to both have 9 touchdowns. There's no way.
I will also say, though, that I think we aren't giving Melvin Gordon the respect he deserves. In the past, from 2016 to 18, he finished in PPR at number 7, 5, and 8. And in 2016, he missed 3 games. In 2018, he missed 4 games and was still an RB1.
No, I agree. So, Melvin Gordon is kind of like in that category of Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson. He's more on the veteran side, being slept on really hard. But one point we haven't, pointed out yet is that Phillip Lindsay has been on this team much longer than Melvin Gordon. He knows the playbook. He has chemistry with the players. That might also give him an upper hand of, I mean, who knows, dude? This could be a 50-50 split for all we really know. It's going to depend on how the players play.
I could see both of these guys being – they in 2019, I think they had a little over 400 total rushing attempts. And if they were all given to the running backs, I could see it basically being close to like 200 attempts for both guys.
Yeah, like I said, I think that they're going to want to give Drew Lock security, get him in rhythm, keep Philip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon running. And I really think that it's good. I would hope to see the 50-50 split.
Yeah, I think it's
going to
be
the question
pretty,
just
pretty
is,
even.
like, who's going to get the touchdowns, of course, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But like we said,
yeah.
How was your opinion on redraft? Are you kind of with me where you would rather wait for Philip Lindsay instead of pay the premium for Melvin Gordon?
100%.
Yeah.
I think Gordon has much more room to fall than Philip Lindsay would at his draft price.
Yeah. I think Philip Lindsay is the most valuable, quote, backup in the league because he is the number 2 back. I would considerably right now on the depth chart.
Mm-hmm.
Melvin Gordon's going to be that one. I think Philip Lindsay is a great option to have on your team. I would love to have. This is one of the best flexes you could have, I think, honestly.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, let's move on. David NJOKU. So I didn't post his 2019 stats because he missed like almost every game of the season. He played like 3 or 4 games?
4 games, yeah. He didn't really do much in the 4 games he played.
But, however, in 2018, he was tight end number 9, 89 targets, 56 receptions, 639 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And as you know, he has requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have not stated if they're willing to trade David NJOKU, or there hasn't been much talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I made sure to include him in this because we wanted a player that you can definitely go after. I mean, this is a guy that you can buy in Dynasty. I mean, I don't think anyone wants David NJOKU to stay on the Browns, but the upside question mark of him landing on a different team, I think, is beautiful.
Yeah, I don't see David NJOKU staying on the Browns, despite, I guess, them wanting to keep him in their plans. I think when you have a guy who's unsettled and is asking to leave, there's no point in keeping a guy who's having a negative attitude and can bring other players' morale down and whatnot. So I think the best thing for the Browns to do would be to move him. Now, where's the best fit for him?
I love Arizona. I would love Arizona. I don't think he'll go to Cincinnati because I know that's a favorite because they won't trade inside the division.
Mm-hmm.
I would really like to see Arizona. I think that'd be awesome for Kyler Murray.
I also think Kyler Murray's actually pretty secure with what he has there. I don't know if that's necessarily needed. I think there's possible teams, maybe like Jacksonville, that could almost come in and get him. Or
I would like Jacksonville too. I think there's a lot
what
of
about
for him
a New England maybe with their 2 new rookies that they drafted a tight end? Maybe they're not really wanting to actually play.
Yeah, it all just comes down to like how much are the Browns gonna want for him, you know? Like,
yeah, I don't know how much value he has after the missing so much time.
Injury was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was. I remember that tackle, and he kind of landed on his neck, right? How it happened. He got like flipped, and
he showed potential. Like,
yeah, he's still young. He's 24. I mean,
so in Dynasty,
a great talent.
Let's talk Dynasty. Are you buying? I'm not selling. I'm definitely not. Well, I guess if you're gonna pay I'm gonna say I'm gonna buy. I'm buying.
If you have him, you're gonna hold him because he's probably your backup at this point. He probably wasn't your number 1 tight end. Hopefully I mean, maybe you were trying to use him in 2018 as your number 1. It would have been fine. But if he's your backup, you just hold him. And then if you're looking for a cheap tight end to maybe let sit on your bench and see what he does or where he moves to, then David NJOKU could be a buy. Okay. But I think if you wait to see where he lands, his price could go up from there, technically. I don't think it would drastically increase by any means, but it might be harder to
I mean, it would make him most likely the starting tight end on the team. I think it'd bring up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I agree with that. I think you make a fair point that if you're an owner of him now, you should just hold and then wait for him to hopefully move to a different team. Because, honestly, I mean, you shouldn't probably be buying. I mean, I guess you could buy the rumor, but that's up to you. Mm-hmm. Redraft, I think this is a safe guy to draft pretty late in the rounds. Just take him when you feel comfortable taking him, I think.
He'd be a backup tight end at this point, though, in redraft.
Right, 100%.
There's too many other guys that have the high upside.
There's a lot of upside here.
There's a lot of guys at the tight end position that have a bunch of upside this year that people are kind of expecting jumps from, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. I'm not going to go into naming all.
Blake Jarwin.
I mean, there's probably like a good 10 tight ends people expect to see jumps this year. So.
Yeah, I know. All right, let's move on to our last player. This is a spicy one. Darius Slayton, wide receiver number 37. 2019, 83 targets, 48 receptions, 740 yards, and 8 touchdowns for the Rook. Man's a beast. I'm all over this. I'm buying. But I could see how some people are selling in Dynasty. You know? I mean, Evan Ingram set out a lot of games last year. Saquon Barkley wasn't fully healthy. How's it going to pan out between Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, Evan Ingram, and Saquon on volume? I could see why he might sell.
I don't think there's enough to sell on him right now, though.
Dude, he had a good season for his rookie year. That's pretty good.
He did. And I mean, he missed 2 games, so he could have obviously he could have finished even higher.
8 touchdowns is really what's getting me. That's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. That's great. But who knows if that's going to be an anomaly or not, also.
Yeah, I think it kind of is because Evan Ingram missed so many games.
How many did he end up missing last year? I can't remember. He missed half the season. He only played 8 games. And Evan Ingram hasn't exactly been the healthiest tight end so far.
I think you could sell him for like a decent little piece. I don't know if I'm fully invested into buying him.
Oh, you just said you were.
I'm pretty sure I said I was selling. Did I actually say I'm buying?
I can't. I'm kind of already.
Well, if I said I'm buying,
I lost you.
I'm very sorry. I think you should sell.
He is interesting. I don't know what to do with him.
But okay, what's your opinion on my statement that there's not enough volume for this guy? Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, Darius Slayton himself, Evan Ingram, and Saquon Barkley. That's a lot.
I don't think there's a clear number one guy on this team. I think it's a bunch of guys who are like all around the same. Like, I feel like you could argue any of these guys could be the wide receiver 1 next year, being Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, or Darius Slayton. I think if Evan Ingram's healthy, he could be in conversation to almost have pretty close to the most amount of targets too, though. So.
Okay, but are you buying or selling in Dynasty?
In Dynasty,
do you want him a part of your team? Or are you more of a hold standpoint again? Like you would just rather see how the guy pans out because he's so young. Just wait.
I think at this point I'm holding. I'm not trying to buy. I'm not actively trying to buy him. I'm not trying to ship him to another owner.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of in the middle on him at this point. And
the hard thing about all
the Giants are doing
is like obviously every single player has their price.
Mm-hmm.
If you receive the right offer for Darius Slayton, you're probably going to take it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I know a lot of people love this guy. I mean, there's no reason not to like him. Except for the Evan Ingram missing half the season, Saquon Barkley not being fully healthy in the mix. Not sure who Daniel Jones likes the best as number 1 yet. I mean, Golden Tate was on the team for this first year. I think Golden Tate got signed to a 4-year deal, I believe also. And Sterling Shepard was also injured.
Did they sign him to a 4-year deal?
I'm pretty sure I checked it because he was on the Eagles and he got transferred through.
Yeah, it was a 4-year deal. Wow.
Yeah. And then Sterling Shepard missed a couple games for a concussion.
Mm-hmm. He was injured twice last year with concussions, I'm pretty sure. I think he missed.
So, like, you're right. Who really knows with the volume who's going to end up being the guy?
Okay, the concussions are really scary for Shepard, so I want to fade him completely at this point. Like, I mean, he can still be serviceable on the team, just not as a great fantasy option, like flex at best. Because even in the year in 2018 when he was healthy, stayed the whole season, played 16 games, had 107 targets, 66 receptions, he only finishes number 30 in PPR. So after 2 concussions, that's just, I mean, sure, he could still be useful, but I don't think he's going to be the number 1. I think I give it more to Golden Tate and Slayton at this point, and obviously Evan Ingram.
So I have Slayton as a wide receiver 3 with upside at this point in redraft. Obviously, it's the same thing in Dynasty, but in redraft, I think you're drafting this guy as a flex player with upside.
Where does Darius Slayton go in a redraft? God, he'd have to be going pretty late, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and I like him a lot for the price.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm a big fan. Mm-hmm. Redraft, you need to go get this guy on your team, I think. All right. That is our last player for the day. I hope you all enjoyed our first visual aid. Sorry for the hiccup in the Mike Williams points. I don't know what that was. A slight error, but I'm going to keep trying to make the visual aids for you guys. I'm sure it's a lot more enjoyable to watch on YouTube. As always, please like and subscribe. Peace. Whoops.
Dweebs. Big dweebs.
Chill.